Have you ever felt like there's gotta be more to birdwatching than just, checking a name off a list? Well, today we're gonna unlock the secrets of the real pros, the nature observation instructors. We're gonna learn how to go beyond just seeing birds and start truly understanding them. So let's dive in.
So, let's start with a really important question, one that might just change how you see the world around you. What is the difference between just looking at a bird and truly observing it? It sounds like a small thing, but that little shift in your mindset, well, it unlocks a completely new level of connection. And that's exactly what we're digging into today. So, who are we learning from here? We're taking our cues from nature observation instructors, and I want you to think of them as translators for the natural world. They don't just ID birds, they help us understand the whole story behind them, like why they do what they do and how they fit into the bigger picture. Okay, so where do the experts even begin? You might think it's with some super expensive pair of binoculars, right? Nope. It actually starts with something they call the observer's heart. This is the foundation for everything, and it's all about what's going on in your head before you even step 1 foot outside. And here it is, the core principle. Forget the deer for a second. The most powerful tools you have are your own sense of joy and respect. Seriously, when you approach nature with just genuine curiosity and a deep appreciation for these creatures, you'll start to see so much more. This mindset, it's the real game changer. I really love this slide because it shows such a classic contrast. On one hand, you have the beginner's approach, which is kind of like a treasure hunt, right? Rushing around trying to find that one rare bird. But the expert, they're doing the complete opposite. They're all about patience, about blending in. They know if you just slow down and become part of the scenery will reveal its secrets to you. And this is just such a great reminder. You do not need to be in some remote, exotic jungle to have an amazing experience. Some of the most fascinating dramas unfold right in your local park or backyard. I mean, when you start observing with real intention, you'll realize that even common birds like sparrows and pigeons have these incredibly complex and dramatic social lives. Okay, so now that we've got the right mindset, let's get into the specific tools the experts use to observe. You can think of them as 3 different lenses that help them see the world in a completely different way. The first lens is sound. Because, let's be honest, you're often going to hear a bird long before you ever see it. And they're not just making random noise. They have calls for their friends, or nakama, they have alarm calls for danger, kiken, and of course, calls for courtship, or QI. When you learn to tell these apart, you're not just hearing birds. You're basically listening to the language of the forest. Next up, our second lens, movement. Think of it like a bird's body language. Every little hop, every peck, every flick of a tail, it tells a story. A quick, jerky movement might mean it's on high alert. A slow, deliberate preening of its feathers could mean it's totally relaxed. You're getting a real-time report on what's going on in its world just by watching how it moves. And for our third and final lens, we're going to zoom out and look at the environment. A bird doesn't just exist in a vacuum. It's a part of this huge, interconnected web. So you start asking questions. Where is it finding food? Are there any water sources nearby? What kind of plants does it use for cover? And when you do that, you stop seeing just a bird and start seeing the entire world that supports its life. So we have the mindset and we have the lenses. Now it's time to get practical. Let's walk through a simple framework that the pros use to make every single session a success. This 5-step plan is your roadmap. First, set a small goal. Don't try to see everything at once. Maybe just focus on one species for the day. Get your gear together, then head out. Once you're there, and this is the important part, tune in with all 5 senses. And finally, keep a record. You'll be absolutely amazed at what you start to notice when you just jot down a few notes in a journal. We're getting near the end here, but this last piece of the puzzle is without a doubt the most critical one. This is the ethical code, the promise that every true nature observer lives by. And it's as simple as it is profound. The number 1 rule is this: don't stress the birds. That's it. That's the golden rule of birdwatching. We have to remember that we are guests in their world, and our presence should never, ever cause them harm or distress. So, what does that look like in practice? Well, it means giving nests a very wide berth. It means never, ever using flash photography. And it means being extremely cautious about feeding wild birds. Our goal is to be a ghost, a silent, respectful observer who leaves no trace behind. So now you have the tools of an expert, the mindset, the techniques, and the ethics. The world right outside your window has just become a whole lot more interesting, hasn't it? So I'll just leave you with this one question.
what will be your next discovery.